Everybody, welcome back. The last time we were in this beautiful garden by the riverside, we were talking about the various life crises that can lead us to a quest for meaning. Today, I'd like to go a little bit deeper into that quest. If you're an aficionado of video games or you like fantasy literature, then I'm sure you will come up with more elements than I do. But I believe that there are essentially 7 elements to every quest. Not every hero's journey is a quest for meaning, but every quest for meaning is a heroic journey. And so let's begin with the elements of the quest. First of all, we have the quester. Well, that's us. We have a destination that we want to reach, and in this case, it would be some sort of answer to what is the meaning of life. The third element of a quest is some sort of stated reason for undertaking the quest, and in this case, that would be to come up with some coherence to our understanding of our place in the universe and why we're here. And the fourth element is the real reason that we're questing, and we'll come to that later on. On every quest, the quester gets a set of tools to aid them on their journey. Whether you're on a spiritual journey or the secular path, what this really means is the set of wisdom that we gather from other places. This can be sacred texts, it could be books of literature, philosophy, science, it could be art. It may be lectures or even snippets that you find on YouTube or podcasts. When we're beginning to quest for the meaning of life, it's wise to cast our net broadly. Now, whether that means that you read widely across different genres, whether it's philosophy, religion, science, art, or literature, or whether you choose to go deeply into one of those and read widely all of the writers and thinkers that are out there today. Another tool we find on the quest for meaning is the company of others. If we're spiritual, we might call this fellowship or Sangha. It is the community of our fellow seekers. And why this is important is that life is full of distractions, and it's very easy to get caught on the hedonic treadmill and sort of forget that we ever really cared whether there was something more to life than this, as we have pleasure after pleasure after pleasure. The problem with that way of life is that it comes back to get us, and eventually we are run out of pleasure, and we begin again the quest for meaning. But this time, if we haven't cultivated a community around us, we will be alone and perhaps a little more bereft than we were before. We need to cultivate these companions even as we're going about our regular life. They help to keep us focused. They have our back. They let us know that we're not the only weirdo out there that thinks of these things. When we're not strong enough, they fight alongside us. And when we are ready to set forth again and deepen our quest, they help to fortify us and set us off on our journey. These are people with whom we can share our quest stories and who may have been on the road ahead of us a little bit further. The Sangha is one of the most important elements of a good quest. Aside from the community, there are, of course, the wisdom keepers. Alongside the wisdom keepers that we'll meet on our quest, there may be some tricksters as well. And when we're looking for the meaning of life, we are incredibly vulnerable. We are in a life crisis. And so it's very important that we select those whom we choose as our wisdom keepers very carefully. To that end, I've created another in the series, Rooked by a Crook. This time, I give you warning signs of a bad teacher, minister, rabbi, guru, whatever you want to call them. And I'll also provide you a video of some positive signs that you've met a good teacher. Knowing these signs is important because the trickster never comes looking evil or ugly. They look beautiful and they're very tempting. and they can lead us astray and take us away from the meaning of life. Or if we're on a spiritual path, they can keep us from reaching our ultimate goal of enlightenment. And so while I think there is real value in having teachers and mentors along the way, I caution the audience to be very careful in their selection. And this, of course, goes again for artists and philosophers and even scientists, professors. We need to make sure that we check the integrity of those who we hold up as somehow more knowledgeable than ourselves. So keep your wits about you, and as you continue to seek out teachers, again, it is wise to seek widely. Always remember that a teacher is only there to point you to the wisdom. They are not the end point of the quest. The seventh element that a quester will encounter along the way are tests and trials. And in the context of the quest for meaning, this is really disciplined practices, whether you're on a spiritual quest or you're on a secular one. For the spiritual seeker in particular, this could include prayer, meditation, mantra, periods of silence, fasting, and other forms of devotion. There are other practices that apply to both spiritual and secular seekers. These would be things like journaling and purposeful time in solitude, particularly in nature. Your disciplined practices may include psychotherapy or questioning about the meaning of life using logic and reason. It would be foolish to pretend that these disciplined practices are easy, and some of them may take many years to master. But as we move from outer wisdom gained from others and from sacred texts, we move into the realm of the inner with these practices. Some of us might take easily to meditation, and others of us might prefer devotion. Some of us are really keen on logic and reasoning as our way inward into our own inner knowing. There are many ways inward, and we should cast our net wide and choose that which really suits us. Other than perhaps a prayer to the divinity, all of these can be interchangeable for the secular as well as the spiritual seeker. After much time with these practices, we come to our inner destination, and there we might expect to find what we were seeking, which is the meaning of life. But other than perhaps an absurd answer from Douglas Adams in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series, where he says the meaning of life is 42, we come to realize that there really is no one meaning of life, and we each have to make it for ourselves. Biologists would say that the meaning of life is our own survival and the propagation of our species. Philosophers can be equally stark. Friedrich Nietzsche would say that the question itself is meaningless because we cannot step outside of our lives for even an instant to answer the question. And even some of the philosophers who believe that we can understand life leave us a little mystified. Kierkegaard says, "Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards." And there are some psychologists who would say that the only meaning in life is that we are existing. Our existence is the meaning of life. And so I come back to the fourth point, which I promised you I would, and that is the real reason for our quest. Even if we come to the end and we've somehow managed to come up with some sort of theory of what we believe is the meaning of life, it's bound to change again as we change. Maybe what we're really seeking is a level of comfort with the mystery of the meaning of life. Recently, a friend of mine reminded me of a quote from Stephen Batchelor. He is one of the wisdom keepers and teachers. He is a Buddhist, and he writes on this concept of mystery. Unlike a problem, a mystery can never be solved. A mystery can only be penetrated. A problem, once solved, ceases to be a problem. But the penetration of a mystery does not make it any less mysterious. The more intimate one is with a mystery, the greater shines the aura of its secret. The intensification of a mystery leads not to frustration, as does the increasing of a problem, but to release. And so if we can look on this quest for the meaning of life, not as a problem, but as a mystery to unfold, I think that we will be much better off. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos in this series, then click subscribe or wait till the end and you'll see the entire playlist on purpose and meaning. For what are you most grateful today?